Hello there and welcome to Memobi's Galaxy, your one-stop podcast for all things Star Wars. From the Judlin Ways to Canto Bight, this is the perfect podcast for all forms of Star Wars fans. We are here today. You read the title of this podcast, this episode. We are talking about the finale of The Skeleton Crew. I am joined today, of course, with my neighbor, Ethan. How are we doing today, Ethan?
Doing good. So happy to be back in the finale today. Man, it was really great.
It was really good. I can't wait to get into it. I don't think we do like we normally do where we take it in order at all. I think we just say what we think because it's the finale. It doesn't matter. So
I think we've tried to go in order and it just simply does not work.
No,
so
I think
we're not going to promise you guys anything.
No, obviously spoilers for the finale of The Skeleton Crew. If you have not watched it, you really should. It was wonderful. I don't think it was anything groundbreaking, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I so wish I could have been on the podcast with you for the last episode, too. There were so many things that just completely surprised me. Surprised us both. I listened to yours as well. And, that was just so awesome. But, I think it made for a great finale. I liked this episode.
I think it sets up for a season 2 if they want, but it doesn't need it.
Yeah, I think it's totally for a season 2.
But it's not as much of a cliffhanger as, like, Acolyte, right? Like, it's like...
no.
This is like... Yeah, they're joining the New Republic, and Jod either escapes here or he doesn't. But it's more of like an unknown. And if they don't get a season 2, it's still okay because it feels like it leaves enough to the imagination that like we don't have to have it, but we want it. Yeah,
I think my biggest unknown as of tonight, and it may just be that I'm right in thinking what I said before, but we still don't. We haven't been told technically who Captain Renard was.
True. It was just I think so if there is no season 2, I'm guessing it was just a nobody. I'm guessing it was just they don't want to reveal it because it's just like a scary pirate and it's better to not have a face. It's almost more ominous just to be like a Blackbeard type. Yeah. We don't really know what he looks like type of situation.
Or it's just SM-33.
I don't think it's SM-33. I don't think it's SM-33. I do not think it is. I do think it's interesting that no one has any like remembering that a ship crashed because they have a crash right in the first of it. It's a crashed ship. It's like under Earth.
Oh yeah, just the fact that it was just a crashed ship in Manhattan.
Yeah, and then that no one noticed it and it's full of pirates.
See, that's what I mean. I think there's still a lot of unknown things.
There is unknown. That's true. That's true. I mean, that's an unknown, but.
Also, on that note, I just want to say I think it's so funny that every time we've watched these episodes, you've been so excited about the appearance of Neil's dad. And
I know. And
it was like nothing. We finally saw his appearance in this one,
he didn't
but
say a single line.
It was nothing crazy.
I want Neil's dad so bad to be somebody because Neil's such a good character because I want to see more of his family. So on the crash ship part, so if we think about like Captain Renard or whatever his name was, he had been taking credits from this planet for years is what it sounds like.
Sounds like it, yeah. Because
they had a whole tale about him. And then I think it for some reason on one of those trips, I'm guessing maybe it's because he had like the outer shell, like the extra shell on that it maybe got shot down and they just didn't deal with it for like whatever reason. I don't think Captain Renard was I think that was the first. I think SM-33 is the first mate. I don't think he's the captain. I think the captain was just dead in there and he had a pirate hat and he just died.
You don't think there's any significance to the pirate ship crashing in there, though?
What do you mean?
As in, like, because it's a huge deal that it's a key to getting out of that barrier, you know, that ship.
So why did it crash, right? So I think it crashed because they had, I think, on their last trip in and out, Captain Renard put on the exterior shell, like the extra shell one that they blew off, right?
And you really don't think it's SM-33?
No, it's not SM-33. It's definitely not SM-33 in my mind.
It makes sense to me that would be SM-33, but
no, it's literally no one in my mind. Because he has a whole like captain quarters with like hats and clothes and like a bed, and like SM-33 just wouldn't have that. Like they showed all that stuff. Like in my mind it's nothing. But I don't know. I'm glad SM-33 is alive. I knew he would be.
If there's a season 2, we'll see.
If there's a season, there is rumors that there might be some characters from this in the Grogu Mandalorian movie. But what that means, I think it's probably most likely to be Jod out of all of the characters we saw, or like some of the New Republic people, like Kim the bird, because they didn't say who. They didn't say it was main characters. They said there'll be there was a rumor that there'll be characters from the show in The Mandalorian. So I'm guessing it's more on like the Republic side. It's going to be like a Kim situation or a Jod. Because I think season 2. Let's not just go to season 2. Let's talk about what happened.
Okay.
I think so. I remember the term now. It's called Schroeder's gun. Is the term in movies where if they show
yeah, you explained that last time.
But I didn't call it Schroeder's gun. I didn't call it the right thing. So when they show a gun, they have to use it. So when they showed the gun on Akron, Neil saw the gun on Akron. Basically, this was like a culmination of everything they've learned.
Yeah.
Right. So KB has learned how to fly the ship, and so she knew how to go.
I was just going to mention that, flying the ship.
And then Neil learned how to do the gun, so that he knew how to do that. William knew how to light a lightsaber the right way this time. Even
the speedsters, they knew where the shortcut was. Yep. They knew how to hit the jump. They knew they could clear that gap, and they all knew how to ride those too. Yep. Like everything from the beginning, it's like there's a reason for that.
Yep.
And you said it's called what? Schroeder's gun.
Schroeder's gun is. That's when it's more specific, like because like it's from an old Western. Basically, there's like if they talk about a rifle on a mantle, they're gonna have to shoot that rifle some point, or it's completely pointless to bring up. Granted, not everything, all these setups were necessarily had to be paid off, but like the gun made sense to be paid off. I heard someone talking about that last week. They're like, well, Neil's definitely going to shoot that gun. I'm like, that's a fair point because they showed it. He learned, and so like
Neil got his good 2 shots in.
He got 2 shots. Hey, it made KB get up.
Hey,
in
but
front.
For Neil, I think those 2 shots were so big. You know, he's like, I got you covered. 2 shots and he's out.
I wasn't like right, so because it is like more family friendly. So I wasn't too worried for most of our characters like dying. But I did think, I was like, dang, what if the KB just explodes? Like I kind of thought,
I almost thought we were, because especially how the ship like hid behind that spot and landed in there. I thought it was just gonna be a pause and like Fern did her thing. She's like, no. And then just huge explosion that was going to happen, and that was the end of KB.
I thought for sure. I kind of like in my mind I thought it was going to be a giant explosion. When there was no explosion, I was like, okay, she's not dead. Because like if you're going to kill a character, you got to kill him.
They opened the ship and she just fell out with
all the gold.
All the gold.
It was like no problem. I
actually, you know what I thought was going to happen with that when we saw KB fall out there? I thought, because remember how we were just talking about you see things earlier on and then it's going to happen later? Yep. I thought that there was going to be something with like the chip in the back of her brain where, because Wim finally learned how to take care of her. I thought what was going to happen is Wim is going to run up and have to do that again.
Do that quick.
Yeah.
No, I see that, but I think.
Because the way that she like, when they got hit in the inside the ship, and she was like crawling up and she's like barely talking to them over the intercom or whatever they were using. Yeah. I thought that had to do something with the back of her head, but
it's like
it didn't end up happening that way. But that's what I was thinking.
I think it's good because we don't need everything to go wrong and everything have to be fixed all at once. I think it was just I think it was just enough mayhem and trouble for them to figure out.
Yeah, I think it was. They did a good job at like making you wonder and think like, could someone die here? Could one of them make it? You know, there was with every single character as far as the parents and the kids, it looked like something could happen with them. Yeah, especially that part where we were saying like, Jod was probably using the Force.
He was using the Force.
Okay, he was using the Force for sure. We were trying to say if it was magnets or something.
Well, okay, finish your point, and then we'll talk about
that. We'll talk about that. But he's pulling on Wim as Wim had the lightsaber in his hands. Yeah. But at first we're like, is it backwards? Is he going to get himself like he did before? Like, just little things like that happened all in the end where it was like, oh, are they going to die there in that scene? Is his dad going to die? Is he's holding the lightsaber up to him?
What I thought in that scene was when he was pulling the lightsaber, I thought he was going to pull it too far and like Wim was going to ignite it before he realized and was going to stab Jod. Like he was going to force pull it into himself. Because he was doing too many things, and he would like force.
That would have been sick.
I thought that was what was going to happen.
That's a really cool thought.
And then he would just get stabbed, and then classic Star Wars fashion, he wouldn't die, because everyone that gets stabbed just doesn't die now in Star Wars. That's just a little dig.
Yeah, you just lose a hand, or
or like in Ahsoka, what's her name gets stabbed, Sabine Wren, and she's fine. And Kenobi, anyways. So let's just round out Jod real quick. So we find
Jedi
out
or not.
Well, he told us.
In the end, he told us there.
What? Did you not watch the show I watched? He told us where his childhood.
Here's what you have to understand is it's been a long day every week.
Oh, that's true. You've done a lot. You've done a lot today. Okay,
but please tell me he told us what?
Yes, he told us his backstory. He said when he was a child, he was starving in a hole.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
But he told us he's a Jedi?
And then a Jedi came and found him.
Uh-huh.
During the height of the Jedi Order, which is what they did. They found kids that were starving and stuff that were force sensitive. Basically, he was force sensitive as a child. Some sort of Jedi lady found him, and then started to train him as a Jedi, but it was so early, it was so close to Order 66 that he wasn't technically a Jedi yet, but he had learned some force lessons from her.
Okay.
So then they made him watch as they killed her.
Wow. So he said so much more than I comprehended in that little thing that he said.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, he said she found me, she pulled me up, and then they killed her, and she taught me. So I think
is that like kind of the same idea of like Anakin in Episode 1, where he kind of he's like force sensitive as a kid, and then they find that out in him when he takes tests or whatever, and
yeah. So normally the Republic in the Republic as itself, kids go through school and stuff when they're pretty young.
Right.
The Jedi will find them as force sensitive and take them away from their families. Pretty normally early.
Yeah, they have like a little test they do.
Well,
right?
no, but Anakin was too old. Like that was already too old, and like the kids from the Acolyte.
Really?
Yeah, that's not like in Episode 1. That's the whole point. Is like he's too old to start his training.
Yeah.
Usually they start training at like 2 or younger if they can.
Yeah.
Like they literally start like training them when
yeah,
they're
because in
infants.
Acolyte they did that too. They had their tests, that they brought the kids in.
Yeah,
but it seemed like they weren't too old in the Acolyte though.
They were too old in Acolyte.
Oh, they were.
They talked about that.
Okay,
yeah.
So I was like, I think Anakin seemed younger than some.
No,
of them.
they were too old. But that test is not necessarily a test for recruits. It's just a test for younglings in general. Just to like, can you test? Like, so they can do that with younglings in general.
Gotcha.
That's why they already have that test as like a thing they do.
So that was Jod though. Basically, same idea.
Well, yeah, but he was younger. He would have been like 3 probably, is what I'm assuming. Like
Gotcha.
3 or 4, like a lot.
Oh, so
younger.
he would have been of age, is what you're saying?
Yes, and that's where they
like
took him.
born into it.
Correct. In a way, he remembers being hungry and like something like 5. So he got brought up by the Jedi, and I think he got taken by this lady, this Jedi master of some sorts, and then didn't actually get indoctrinated into the Jedi temple yet. So he wasn't technically a Jedi. So they didn't kill him. He was not a Jedi at the time, so Order 66 wouldn't apply to him. So he learned some things, and I think from those trainings he's taught himself through the years of bringing himself up through the galaxy, becoming a pirate, enough to do that. So the reason I thought he was using magnets is because he wasn't doing much extraordinary things. Yeah. And we have the character in Kenobi,
right,
who uses the Force to close shutters and pull things across and like do fake mind tricks. So for a while I thought that's all he was doing, because all he was doing is slightly
in Andor too, right? That he walks into that room, that guy has like it's more of like an electric button system that guy had.
That was Kenobi.
Oh, that was in Kenobi?
That was Kenobi. That's the guy, the comedian guy.
Oh, wow. Mixing shows.
It
really has been a long day.
That's all right. It's all right. Yeah, that is Kenobi, and then he's the one like taking advantage of people or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's the one. But I like Jod. I think his character is very interesting because he was pretty evil, but he didn't really, and like he kept saying, "I don't want to hurt anybody." He doesn't actually want to destroy things.
Super manipulative.
But I think he's being truthful when he says he actually doesn't really want to kill people, and he doesn't actually want to destroy the planet.
Yeah, well, he never actually did.
He killed the one ex-captain, but yeah, he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
But I think he's like, I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to. That's not what I want to do. Like he has these morals that he gives up pretty much at the end.
Yeah. Well, when I said that, I meant like with the kids and the parents. Yeah. Like I think at any point he could have made his stand in killing one of them, like he did that pirate captain.
Exactly.
That's why I think we had it in our minds that could have happened there.
Because he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he didn't really want to do these things. I think his character is he does love money, but he also just doesn't want to destroy everything, because I think he did like the kids. I did think he liked the area. He wanted to move in sometime. He liked the area. But I think his character's interesting. They definitely left it open-ended where he stayed there, because he could have fought more. He could have killed him at the end.
Well, also that end where they went to that elevator or whatever, leaving the and Wim says, "Jod." Yeah. Like, do you think that was to him like, "Do you want to join us?"
Yeah,
sort of thing?
Yeah. I think he's like, "Come on, man, let's go." Because I feel the good in him. You
know what that scene reminded me of right there, when he stayed back and kind of just like watched his ship and crew die?
What?
Kind of like in the Titanic, the captain of the Titanic. You know, the captain just
looking
dies with his ship, and that's part of it. I don't know why, but I thought of that instantly.
Yeah, it was a cool looking scene.
Yeah, it was.
I think it definitely leaves it open ended. If season 2 happens, I think John would have escaped by this point. I don't think he would have got captured by the New Republic. I think he probably got a ship and got out, is what I'm thinking. Because they left him away from everyone else, and I think they left it like that so that he could escape for a season 2 situation.
No lightsaber anymore for him. Wim has it.
Wim does have a lightsaber. I wonder how that's going to go.
Yeah.
And he held it so terribly.
Yeah, he did.
He held it perfectly in a horrible way. Like, he held it like he's never held a lightsaber before, which is perfect.
Yeah.
He held it.
I already have so many things pictured in my mind on how he would be training himself if there was a season 2 and stuff.
Dude,
you know?
I don't think
like they have their little tablets or whatever those things are.
Yeah.
I could totally just see him like looking back on all his stories, like looking at their motions and trying to practice it himself. But
yeah, I mean the future of their planet's kind of interesting, right? So none of them knew that the Republic fell and there's a new Republic and there was an empire, right? Like all these adults and these people that have been working on this planet for the great work or whatever. None of them know that they've been doing that. There's any of this new stuff. So I was kind of hoping to have like somebody walk out, like some sort of person out of the New Republic ship to like, and be like, I don't know who I wanted to be, but I wanted to be somebody I knew. I was expecting one X-wing pilot to be somebody we knew. Yeah. I was expecting like the guy from Rebels that's supposed to be in the new Mandalorian show, Zeb from Rebels. Zeg.
I don't know. I don't remember.
The big blue guy from Rebels. You watch Rebels?
Yes.
The big purple guy from the Rebels, the main guy, main character.
I wouldn't be able to tell you his name.
But you know who?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Because he was a Mandalorian. They showed him in the Mandalorian season 3, I think.
Wow.
So I was expecting him to show up and kind of give us a more concrete timeline of where they are in the world.
So 2026 has some exciting references.
2026 is going to be wild.
Mandalorian and Grogu.
I don't want to talk about the news that have come out recently about characters. That is in 2 weeks.
I did think it was really cool in this episode, the supervisor at the top, you know, that how they showed that. You know, I figured it was just a whole computer system. There wasn't actually a person there.
Yeah.
Do you think it was still someone talking through that, or was still like a programmed robot?
It was definitely a programmed robot, 100%.
Okay. Well, I just thought it was cool how like the supervisor was able to call out Jod. You know, it was like, so the truth is you're lying about one thing. Which is it? Is it you're lying about the emissary or you're lying about a Jedi?
Yeah. And
that was so cool. I loved that.
It makes sense because a giant AI that knows everything about the planet and has been has cameras everywhere watching.
Yeah, the truth is AI is better than we think it is right now. So.
Well, sure.
Is that hard to believe in the Star Wars episode?
Correct. A thing that's been running the planet, but like. I thought maybe it was going to be a realization for the lady, but it wasn't a realization for the mom that it was a robot.
Oh, yeah.
They all just knew. It's like, yeah, that's just how it's written. That was what the great work said. Our planets are controlled by robots.
Yeah.
And so I almost thought, because like, you know, it's so dusty up there. I mean, it's what we called. I mean, I called it, you know, that it was going to be an AI, not like a person up there, because it makes sense because it's been the same voice forever.
You think the mom was going up expecting to see a person, though?
No, because she knew. Because she says...
It did feel that way, though. Like, she was kind of nervous to meet him.
Yeah.
The way she was acting,
she acted like
she
had been there before.
That. Yeah.
Because she's like, hello?
But she definitely did know that
yeah.
It was just a
robot. I don't think she'd been up there. So I don't think she knew what he looked like.
I don't think any of them been up there.
No, but I think she knew that he was a robot. She just didn't know where he was or what kind of space he would be in, I think. He turns around, got the great voice, dies, sad, gets stabbed in the eye. It's a great reference. It looks just like when Qui-Gon Jinn stabs the middle of the door in Episode 1 trying to get into the main ship of the Trade Federation Army. And
wow.
That's how he stabs it straight. It's the only time we've ever seen someone stab straight into
it. Oh, I did also... It was funny, Wim's dad, when he was like, do you think you'd be able to fix this electric part or whatever? You know, the feet that were holding in? And he's like... Are you serious? You know, like
I am a analyst 3.
Yeah. You get literally pushed up on his glasses.
Yeah.
You know, I did computer science in high school. You know, it's like such a nerdy response, but like so powerful. He's like, yeah, of course I can do that.
It did feel like the pirates were supposed to not be. Oh, sorry, so late. Late night.
11, 12.
It did feel like the pirates were not very menacing. We didn't get much pirate stuff this time because they just kind of came down and rounded everybody up. But that's what they're supposed to do. They weren't supposed to be killing people.
Yeah, and that's kind of a normal pirate thing too.
It's not too bad. I do think. I feel like some of these pirates are going to come back in Mandalorian.
I do wish we could have seen maybe. Do you think that ship that crashed? Do you think they all died from that, or some of them are going to escape?
I'm sure some will escape.
Because we said it when we were watching the show. That guy that I don't know his character name, but the one that played Steve Urkel. Yeah, there wasn't much with him. Did he just die with his ship? I don't think he will, or I think he did. But
I think he is probably dead.
You do?
I do. I do think he's dead. I think the only one that might survive. No, I think she blew up, didn't she? The lady.
Oh,
the lady pirate. She flew away, and then they were chasing him.
Oh, was her ship the one that blew up?
I don't know. Maybe we didn't get.
I don't think hers did. I think she.
I could see her surviving.
Yeah,
that's the only one though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was interesting. It was like, obviously everyone's fleeing. Like, our ship's going down. And I wish I knew that character's name. I'm just gonna call him Steve Urkel every time.
Urkel, man.
He's like, get to your positions. Get ready to. Brace impact, and they're all like, nope, we're out of here.
Right, because he's thinking a little more logically because he's a cyborg of some sort.
Yeah.
He's a cyborg kind of like Lobot in episode 5 on Bespin. And when the droids fell down on AT-AT, and it's kind of like in episode 1 when all the droids turn off, when the Trade Federation ship gets blown up at the end of the movie and they all just fall down. It's just like that. It's a great reference.
Yeah, you sound like Wim's dad about to go fix the situation.
I know. There's all these silly references that aren't. I mean, they're not really references. They're not really references. They're just the sim. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
It'll be in a video tomorrow about, I'm sure, on some YouTube channel of all the references that they possibly could have had.
Well, saying it right now, do you think there's going to be a season 2 for sure?
No, not for sure.
Yeah.
Nothing's 100% anymore with Disney, in my mind.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, what if all of a sudden this show just also gets tons of hate, terrible Rotten Tomatoes score, and just they choose to not make another season because of it?
So this one got a lot less money than The Acolyte did.
I believe that.
Because everyone was kind of burnt out from The Acolyte still, I think. I think it was almost like, not a boycott situation, but almost.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of our friends that are big Star Wars fans and are like,
watched it.
We're podcasting on this, super excited about every episode, and we're talking to them, and they're like, oh, I haven't watched it yet.
He's not really into it anymore. One of my buddies, he watched the first 2 episodes, and he didn't like it because he didn't like pirates. And then he's talking to me.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
And then he was talking to me like 2 days ago, and he's like, dude, it's pretty good. You've been watching the new episode? I'm like, wait, have you? He's like, yeah. I was like,
I think anyone listening to this, well, if you're listening to this, you probably watched the show.
Probably.
But, there's probably something better to say at the beginning or our first episode.
Yes.
But I was like, anyone listening to this, like, you should definitely give it a try. Like, it's actually really good. Yeah, I can see why the regular Star Wars fan might not be watching this one and just, like, getting other people's insight and opinions on it. But it actually is a really good show. Like, as far as the show went, I've been really happy with it. The kids played their roles really well. There was a lot of cool character development and things to know about, and honestly some really cool intense scenes that would leave you surprised. Obviously at this point we've spoiled everything for you, so that's why I wish we would have said this earlier, but of course now we've fully watched the show, so I'm able to say that I liked it. It was good.
But just because we spoiled it doesn't mean you can't watch it still.
No, yeah. I bet there will be one person that listens to every single one of our podcast episodes and then decides, okay, maybe I'll watch the show.
Which is fine. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people just like listen to things about shows and don't even watch them. Yeah. And it's like, I just get my opinions from somebody else, and that's fine. It was good if you're listening.
I mean, I think a lot of us do that nowadays with like YouTube Shorts and stuff. You can see like clips of a show and you can't watch see so many that you almost know everything.
It. Yeah, that's fair.
But I will say I haven't seen too much media on this show. I don't know how many Star Wars fans are actually watching it.
No, and I haven't made that much content out of it just because no one's really been on my threads. I have. That's all I post about on threads. And there's a really big following on threads for it. Like that's all people talk about on threads right now. In the Star Wars world, everyone's just completely loving it. So I don't know what we're going to talk about for the next couple of weeks before we get something else new.
Maybe we'll just, in the future, there'll be some people confused on Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just going to be like, oh, what was this character? It's brand new. And we're like, well, it was in Skeleton Crew
Actually, if you had watched the Skeleton Crew episode 3, season 1, you would have noticed in the background that Neil's father was so cool.
Yeah. It's worth giving it a listen. Whoever's
is.
listening to this, or a watch. It's really good.
No, you should listen to it. Close your eyes and just listen to the whole show. I'm trying to think. Did they not? Is there any loose ends that like really suck? They didn't tie up or anything. I think they got back with their parents. I think everybody's happy. I think Wim and his dad made up like in a decent way. Like it was kind of rushed, but like I think it works. I think that's their dynamic.
We didn't see a lot from Neil's dad. I think there was a lot of hype on that. That didn't happen.
For me, I don't think it was really actually hype. I think.
Yeah, I wasn't too hyped about it, but I was excited for you being excited about it.
I just thought
it was so funny. Nothing happened, but
I just thought. I mean, I don't know. I guess it makes sense because they didn't introduce him earlier.
Yeah.
Is Wim's dad gonna marry Fern's dad? Fern's mom.
Fern's dad. Oh my goodness.
We don't know. It's Disney, dude. And that's okay.
We'll find out if Fern has a dad.
I don't think she does.
I don't think so either.
That
was kind of a sad turn.
Yeah. Well, no, she was probably created by the Force by space witches.
Oh, just probably. Yep. Just
everybody just does that now.
Conceived by the Force.
Anybody could just make a baby out of Force. Yeah, guys, settle down. You can't do that. That's not how it works. Okay. You'll get to that episode.
People are gonna love this podcast episode just for that. They'll clip that and be like, "Say that again."
No, don't worry. I have a whole episode coming about it in a couple months. I'm trying to think anything else about
Captain Rennet. I think is the only big thing for me.
True. We didn't really get like a big tie-in for that, like what it could be. Yeah. If anything, and I think maybe what they're trying to say is he's a nobody. He's nothing. I don't think they're going to explore that realm in season 2 if they do.
I still think it's crazy that the wolf captain died.
Dude, just killed him.
I thought we were going to see way more from him, or at least get some sort of background. But
okay, here's a question.
He just died.
What would season 2 even be about?
Probably about Wim using a lightsaber.
They're not going to let him keep a lightsaber.
What?
They're going to take it from him.
Oh. True.
Maybe not though.
No, maybe they'll see him as like, "Hey, you saved us. You helped us. We'll let you live your dreams."
It'll be interesting because it's like what would a season 2? The only thing I could see is Jod kidnapping the children for some reason, because how else are you going to get these kids on a space adventure when they have families somewhere, right? Something has to catapult. What I could see,
there's definitely a cliffhanger with Jod.
I could see them all either living on Ad-Aden or getting dispersed or relocated by the New Republic to some other safe planet in the Republic, but all the families still living somewhere on the same planet and trying to get. I think the first episode would then be all of them trying to get used to the new life.
True, a lot of it has been destroyed. They might want to just move somewhere else.
And now
or just restore their own home.
But I don't think they would do that because I think the New Republic would know that Ad-Aden is now a target because now people know where it is. The coordinates are known. Pirates, there's tons of gold.
Pirates are going to go insane now.
Right, so you have to remove civilians off of that. The government has to come and take all the gold off. It's like it's wild.
And there's so much gold. Like the mint there, the vault they have. What was it, 12?
1,139 volts.
Yeah. That's
which
insane.
is a reference to 1138, which is George Lucas's first movie he ever made. It is, but it's fine.
Yes, that's definitely and a huge target now. Without the barrier.
So I think if there was a season 2, it would start on another planet with all the families being relocated, trying to adjust to normal life and learning. So like all the parents would be back in school kind of, and everyone trying to learn, and them like reminiscing on how they went on a great adventure. But there would be no adventure because they're kids and their parents wouldn't let them. Then I think the only way to catapult it is either there's like an attack or Jod comes and kidnaps them.
Well, yeah, Jod most likely escapes this place.
Yeah, I'm thinking that.
Some of the other pirates too. He's probably still going to have somewhat of a crew.
Or he's captured and then he like escapes from like the holding cells because he can use the Force and they don't realize that kind of deal. And then he meets Luke Skywalker, and then Luke Skywalker he said, "Do you want to take Yoda's lightsaber or do you want to take this Mandalorian thing?" And he takes the
I think if there's a season 2, Kim, the owl, I think she's going to be a big part of that.
I think so.
Where now that barrier's opened up, she sent everyone to help and stuff. I think she's going to be someone that the kids teach and say, "Hey, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have survived." And now they're going to rely on her for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which, what if she took a huge turn then?
Whoa. Murders them.
Sorry, not expecting to say that.
Not that big of a turn. She's evil with big fangs now.
It just blows up the planet like the Death Star.
She is a Death Star. Okay. I think. But that's the only way I can think of season 2, unless we do a time jump, meaning like we let the kids grow up a little bit and we let them, they're like 15 or something like that.
I think it'd be cool to see
because they probably wouldn't start filming this show for another like 3 years because they have all these other projects. Like I at least a year or 2 between, and it's already been like a year since they filmed it. So like the kids, like the actors, will be like 3 years older by the time they film the next one, realistically.
So what I'm wondering though, do you think the parents and families were educated on the history and the stuff that's happened before, and they were just hiding it from their children, or do you think a lot of them just didn't know and now they have to
about
just
what?
Like why they were closed off and they were living in their own little colony and stuff? Yeah, I think everything else.
I think the ones that had higher clearance knew that they were a mint.
Yeah,
I think most of them, because they said you find that out when you graduate. You're not supposed to because they said they said you're not supposed to find this out until you graduate. So when everyone graduates and gets a job, they get told we're a mint for the Republic.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense then.
We're run by a droid.
Because I was thinking what we would see a lot in season 2. Then if there's a tons of people that didn't know that, then they would a lot of history lessons are going to have to be taught, and this is why we were put here. And well, I mean, I bet a lot of that would still happen.
It would still happen because they have to learn about the Empire, the fall of the Republic, and the New Republic. Like, there's a lot for them to catch up on. But I think that would all be like episode 1, and then I think either Jod or some other outside force would come and take these children of some sort, and catapult them onto a interstellar adventure into the stars.
Interstellar.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a word, spacey word. I don't know.
Yeah, it does sound spacey.
That's the only thing I can think of for season 2. Other than that,
let me say the only thing, but we just said so much.
That's only one individual thing I could possibly have a concept of.
I think there will be a season 2. I'm just saying that right now.
We will see.
I like to make these crazy takes and just say them as a statement, and then they don't happen. So far, that's happened to me 3 times in this podcast, but.
No, okay. There is no season 2.
There is a season 2.
No, there's not.
This
I mean, there's not a season. There's not.
Okay, yeah. There's not one right now.
And there never will be a season 2.
That's crazy.
That's my prediction.
That's so crazy.
I think next we get. Well, what do we get? We get Andor. We get Mandalorian.
Andor
Grogu,
season 2.
Mandalorian Grogu, which is at the end of season 4 of Mandalorian.
And then Acolyte season 2.
Okay, that's not happening. And then we get a standalone Star Wars movie, and then we get, what do we get next?
Maybe they make up for it somehow, though.
They're not gonna make up.
Another certain sort of show, and they answer some of the things we aren't answered in Acolyte.
Well, we don't need to talk about all this because what I'm worried about is there was an article talking about they're talking about a Dawn of the Jedi type movie.
Ooh.
But when they wrote it, how it was written was he was talking about the discovering the Force, not discovering the Jedi. And I'm terrified of that, and I'll tell you about that why later. So,
we don't need to talk.
You have
about
any other thoughts?
No, I really liked the show. It was a good finale. I have enjoyed this podcast, and I'll talk to you guys for season 2 in the future.
Well, you'll talk to me. So I'll do a quick introduction. So an outro. Today is January 14th. Next week, on the following Tuesday, I will have an episode coming out all about Star Wars Episode 1, where I talk to my brother Luke all about the woes and why it's good and bad. Then 2 weeks after that, the podcast goes back to a bi-weekly schedule, and we're going to February 7th, where it is a National Star Wars Podcast Day, where Ethan will be back on. We'll do a lot of talking about what the future of Star Wars might look like.
Yeah.
And then we go back to a regular bi-weekly Tuesday release of the show. After that, we have an episode about The Empire Strikes Back. No, Return of the Jedi. And then I have one I'm filming at the end of the month about The Last Jedi, a debate with a guy. And then after that, I have The Acolyte coming up. I'm going to be recording early February.
Lots to be excited about.
So there's a lot coming up. So tune in next week, and we will see you. Thank you for everything. Here's a note. Why do podcasts always say, you can find us on Amazon and Apple and Spotify? You're already listening to it somewhere, so I don't need to tell you to go somewhere else to listen to it.
That's a great point.
Why do they say that every time?
I don't know.
Find us on Spotify. I already found you, dude. I'm listening to you right now. Anyways,
yeah, but anyway, you can find us on Spotify.